Welcome, Shadow Seekers, to American Shadows, Crimes and Chronicles. Today, we're unearthing a tale that'll haunt your thoughts long after it ends. Whether you're glued to the screen or just listening in, you're in for a wild ride through history's darkest corners. If you're new, hit subscribe to join our mission of exposing America's hidden truths. Regulars, your likes fuel our journey into the unknown. Now, let's peel back the layers of time and reveal the secrets beneath. Ready? Let's begin. The day the sky fell. How? September 11th changed America forever. Hello, friends, and welcome to American Shadows, Crimes and Chronicles. Today we're revisiting one of the darkest days in American history, September 11th, 2001. A day that began with clear blue skies but ended in tragedy, forever altering the course of our nation and the world. How does a routine Tuesday morning transform into a watershed moment in history? What turns ordinary office workers and first responders into heroes? And how does a single day's events reshape global politics for decades to come? Before we dive into the events of that fateful morning, I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to all of you who support our work. Your engagement allows us to explore these pivotal moments in history, ensuring we never forget the lessons they teach us. The lead-up, a growing threat. The attacks on September 11th didn't materialize out of thin air. They were the culmination of years of planning by Al-Qaeda, a terrorist organization led by Osama bin Laden. Throughout the 1990s, Al-Qaeda had carried out several attacks on U.S. interests abroad, including the 1998 bombings of U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania, and the 2000 bombing of the USS Cole. U.S. intelligence agencies were aware of the threat posed by Al-Qaeda, but communication breakdowns, lack of coordination, and the unprecedented nature of the planned attacks contributed to the failure to prevent them. In the months leading up to September 11th, there were warnings and signs, but the full extent of the plot remained hidden until it was too late. The attackers, 19 men mostly from Saudi Arabia, had been meticulously preparing for years. Some had been living in the U.S. for months, training at flight schools to learn how to pilot the large commercial jets that would become their weapons. The plot was executed with chilling precision, catching the world's most powerful nation off guard. The attacks unfold. At 8:46 a.m. Eastern Time on September 11, 2001, American Airlines Flight 11 crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York City. The impact created a massive explosion, sending shockwaves through lower Manhattan. Many initially believed it was a tragic accident, perhaps a small plane gone astray. But at 9:03 a.m., as the world watched in horror, United Airlines Flight 175 struck the South Tower. It was now clear, America was under attack. The devastation wasn't limited to New York. At 9:37 a.m., American Airlines Flight 77 slammed into the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., killing 125 people on the ground, in addition to those aboard the plane. The nation's capital was now also engulfed in chaos and panic. Meanwhile, in the skies over Pennsylvania, passengers on United Airlines Flight 93 learned of the other attacks through phone calls with their loved ones. In an act of extraordinary courage, they decided to fight back against the hijackers. Their efforts led to the plane crashing in a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania at 10:03 a.m. All 44 people aboard perished, but their bravery likely prevented the hijackers from reaching their intended target, believed to be either the White House or the U.S. Capitol. The towers fall. As emergency responders rushed to the scene in New York, the unthinkable happened. At 9:59 a.m., the South Tower of the World Trade Center collapsed in a thunderous roar. Just 29 minutes later, at 10:28 a.m., the North Tower followed suit. Thousands were trapped inside, including many first responders who had bravely entered the burning buildings to save others. The collapse sent a massive cloud of dust and debris throughout lower Manhattan as people fled on foot, covered in ash. The destruction of the World Trade Center, a symbol of American financial power, left not only a physical void in the New York skyline, but also an emotional one in the heart of the nation. In just 102 minutes, nearly 3,000 lives were lost, including 343 firefighters, 60 police officers, and 8 paramedics. Immediate aftermath. In the hours following the attacks, the world watched in disbelief as the scale of the devastation unfolded. President George W. Bush, who was reading to school children in Florida when the first attack occurred, was rushed onto Air Force One and flown to secure locations before delivering an address to the nation that evening. He vowed to hunt down and punish those responsible for the attacks. For the first time in history, all air traffic over the United States was grounded. The skies fell silent as the nation grappled with the enormity of what had transpired. In New York, at the Pentagon, and in Pennsylvania, rescue and recovery efforts began almost immediately, though hope of finding survivors diminished as the days wore on. The long-term impact. The 9/11 attacks had far-reaching effects not just on the US, but on the entire world. Within weeks, the US launched the War on Terror, beginning with the invasion of Afghanistan to dismantle Al-Qaeda and remove the Taliban from power. This would become the longest war in American history, lasting until 2021 and costing thousands of lives and trillions of dollars. At home, the attacks led to fundamental changes in national security. The Department of Homeland Security was established, and Congress passed the USA Patriot Act, expanding government surveillance powers and reshaping the balance between security and civil liberties. Air travel would never be the same, with new security measures becoming a part of everyday life. But beyond the political and security implications, 9/11 left an indelible mark on the American psyche. It shattered the sense of invulnerability many Americans had felt and replaced it with a persistent undercurrent of fear and suspicion. The way Americans lived, traveled, and viewed the world was forever altered. Yet, from this tragedy also emerged stories of incredible resilience and unity. In the days and weeks following the attacks, Americans came together in a show of solidarity rarely seen before or since. The phrase "never forget" became both a tribute to the victims and a rallying cry for a wounded nation, legacy and reflection. Today, the site of the World Trade Center, now known as Ground Zero, is home to the National September 11th Memorial and Museum. It stands as a powerful tribute to those lost, and a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Each year, on the anniversary of September 11th, the names of the victims are read aloud in a solemn ceremony, a reminder of the individual lives behind the staggering statistics. As we reflect on the events of September 11th, 2001, we're confronted with difficult questions about security, freedom, and the price of both. How do we balance safety with liberty? How has our understanding of terrorism and global conflict evolved? And how do we honor the memory of those lost while moving forward as a nation? This is American Shadows, where we peer into the darker corners of our nation's past. Until next time, remember that even in our darkest hours, the American spirit of resilience and unity shines through. The echoes of that September morning continue to resonate, shaping our world in ways both seen and unseen. As we go about our daily lives, let's take a moment to reflect on the lessons of September 11th. For in understanding our past, we gain the wisdom to shape a more secure and compassionate future. The shadows cast by that September day are long indeed, and they continue to influence our national discourse and global relationships in ways we are still struggling to fully comprehend.